Hello, everyone, and welcome to this latest talk and session on repowering of renewable energy assets. Repowering is going to become a hot topic in the coming years as a lot of our generation capacity, be it wind or solar, comes offline and needs to be replaced. I'm delighted today to be joined by colleagues Victoria here in Bristol and also Malcolm in Edinburgh. Victoria's from the banking side, Malcolm from the corporate side. I'd like to, if I may, start with the first question for you, Malcolm. What are we typically asked to help with on the corporate and finance side in these types of projects?
Thanks, Ross. So when it comes to the corporate support that we're asked to provide in relation to renewable projects and repowering projects, I typically see it falling into two categories. The first is getting involved in acting for clients who are either acquiring or disposing of existing renewable projects, either with a view to repowering or otherwise. And also where that involves more than one party. So, for instance, if a person is selling down just a percentage share of a project rather than the whole thing, we also get involved in looking at the joint venture arrangements that are put in place to govern the relationship between the parties and the project. And the second piece of work that we typically get involved in is looking at new projects when they are started. So we get involved in helping set up the corporate structures for those new projects, putting in place all the usual constitutional documents and shareholder arrangements that you would expect to see there. So that tends to be the two main areas of our involvement.
Okay, no, thanks. And so I suppose to question both of you, Victoria, maybe to start off with, I mean, when we talk about repowering a project, what differences are there when it comes to repowering as opposed to just a brand new site and a brand new project?
It's a great question, and I think that's the bit that is likely to be overlooked. But of course, there'll be the new financing or the new arrangements for the new project, but we also have to deal with the existing assets and then the existing project. Selfishly, from a financing perspective, that's going to be very much looking at a existing corporate group and an existing security and financing structure and working out what we're going to do with this asset. Do we need to move it out of an existing group? We are anticipating that a number of these assets are going to have been the kind of star assets, the legacy assets that will have been put into a portfolio financing or will have been financed separately. So we do need to make sure that we move that out of a group and we look at the restrictions in the existing documents before, of course, we go into a new wholesale financing for the new project.
Okay, no, thanks. Malcolm, anything else to add there?
I would say that applies equally in a corporate sense. The sort of group structure arrangements that you'll be looking at as part of the repowering project. So quite often we'll be asked to put in place new group structures to reflect the new repowering project going forward. It will have its own kind of contractual arrangements. And in many cases, you're looking at adjusting the JV arrangements to reflect the nature of the repowering project going forward. So there's quite a lot to kind of think about and just making sure that the kind of contractual and group structure that's in place for the repowering project is suitable for it going forward.
I mean, in previous sessions we've dealt with a whole host of issues, and we've got some more to deal with repowering. But I guess my question on the finance side and on the corporate side, and I think I know the answer to this. But from a repowered project perspective, are these the types of asset class that are now keenly fought over, people want to invest in?
I think that as they're coming to the market, I think there is definitely appetite for these assets. I've touched on it earlier, but these are likely to be assets that are the prime assets, prime positions. They're going to have a really good track record of performance. So particularly where we're looking at wind, you've got a kind of performance history there, and funders certainly in the debt space will like that reassurance.
So is that the case? Sorry to interrupt, but is that the case? Even if the new project is substantially different. So it might be bigger turbines,
Yeah.
possibly bigger capacity.
Yeah.
Is that still a good thing?
Absolutely, because you're going to be able to show what the wind was for that particular site over a period of time, and how that asset has performed. So you can then assume, all things being equal, you'd extrapolate that outwards. I think the key thing, these assets are going to be bigger and more complicated. So from the financing perspective, the contractual mix and the contractual arrangements are going to be more sophisticated as well, as these turbines are getting and these assets are getting more complicated. We are certainly seeing challenges and more sophisticated O&Ms and management structures kind of going forwards that are likely to be quite different from the project that was there beforehand.
Yeah, and you mentioned the project there beforehand, and you've mentioned previously about the fact that I suppose the funder looking at it and getting ready to finance the new project is going to be going, okay, but what is left from the old project? How does that work? How does the old project? How is that old project dismantled, removed, and what impacts that might have on the build out of the new one?
Correct, absolutely.
Yeah.
I suppose the other key asset there is going to be the connection point, and we will all be aware of the challenges around connections.
Yeah.
So yes, I think if you are a funder, there is an awful lot of appetite in this kind of renewable space, and when you look at challenges of new projects, be that connection points, supply chain issues, or indeed new tech, more challenging structures like batteries or hydrogen, a repowered asset that you can reassure funders about some of the history, such as wind performance, solar performance, is going to make this a very attractive asset.
Okay. And then Malcolm, I suppose top tips for people considering it from the corporate and the finance side. If you're looking at a repower project, what are the key things you need to get right from your perspective?
So from a corporate structuring point of view, if you're looking at the future and the possibility of a repowering project, I would always encourage early engagement with advisors, and have some discussions around what the plans are for a project, what the future looks like, what you're thinking might happen in the future. And obviously it's then about making sure that you put in place the correct and appropriate structure that has enough flexibility built in to address what you're looking to do in the future, whilst also being aware of what the immediate needs of a project are. And the other thing as well, and Victoria will no doubt cover this, is looking at sort of future funding rounds and possible exit events. Is again about building a structure that's flexible enough to kind of cater for all those eventualities and possibilities.
I think that's exactly right, Malcolm. We kind of almost gone right back to the beginning where we were talking about making sure the structure was fit for purpose. You're having a very clear idea at the outset what your kind of longer term plans are. Are you looking to finance this as a standalone, move that into a portfolio financing, or are you looking at being able to dispose of this? Will all change the structuring bit, and probably mean you're spending more time talking to Malcolm and I at the early stages of a transaction than you might otherwise expect.
Well, I don't think that's a problem, because you've got lots of expertise that people can draw on. Look, that's been really useful. Thank you very much for that. If you've been interested in what Victoria and Malcolm have been discussing, then please feel free to get in touch with them or myself via our website at Burgess Salmon. These talks will be up on our website, so you can rewatch this one or indeed pick up on any of the others, and they're also on our YouTube channel. But in the meantime, thank you both very much.